You posted it 3 minutes ago. You know you shouldn't check yet. You know it's too soon for the numbers to mean anything. But your thumb moves anyway, pulling down to refresh. Once, twice, 3 times. The number ticks up by 2. You feel a small jolt of something, not quite satisfaction, more like relief, or maybe disappointment. You're not sure anymore. You lock your phone. You tell yourself you'll wait an hour before checking again. You check again in 4 minutes. The number hasn't moved. You feel your stomach drop slightly, that small free fall of rejection. You start calculating. By this time, that other post had 50 likes. This one has 8. You refresh again, as if the act of looking could summon what you're desperate to see. The validation, the proof, the explosion of numbers that means you've finally done it. You've gone viral. And somewhere beneath the obsessive checking, beneath the mental math and the comparison and the hope, there's a question you don't want to ask. What are you really waiting for? And why does it feel like your worth is counting down in real time? This is about what happens when we let numbers define our value. This is about the psychology of viral obsession. There's a particular kind of anxiety that didn't exist 20 years ago. It's the feeling of creating something and watching, in real time, as the world decides whether it matters. Every post comes with a scoreboard. Every piece of self-expression is immediately quantified, ranked, compared. And somewhere along the way, we stopped asking, did I make something meaningful? And started asking, did it perform? The psychologist William James wrote that a person has as many social selves as there are individuals who recognize them. But he was writing in 1890. He couldn't have imagined a world where recognition is numerical, public, and constant. Where you don't just have social selves, you have a metric self. A self whose value is displayed in counts and percentages and algorithmic favor. This metric self is always being evaluated, always on trial, and the verdict comes in numbers. When you post something, you're not just sharing, you're auditioning. And the audience doesn't clap or stay silent. They add to your count, or they don't. They boost you into visibility, or they let you disappear. Every refresh is you checking the jury's decision. Every notification is evidence in the case of whether you matter. The cruelty is in the precision. It's not just that people like or don't like what you made. It's that you know exactly how many did, and exactly how that compares to last time, and exactly how it compares to everyone else. Your value is calculated to the decimal point, and once you start measuring, you can't stop. Because the number is always there, always updating, always telling you something about yourself that feels like truth. This is the first trap. When your self-worth becomes quantifiable, it's never enough. Because numbers don't satisfy, they only compare. You've seen it happen. Someone posts something random, barely tries, and it explodes. Millions of views, thousands of followers overnight. Their life changes because of one video, one tweet, one post that caught the algorithm's favor and rode the wave into visibility. And you think, why not me? What did they have that I don't? What's the formula? This is where viral obsession really takes hold. Because you've seen proof that it's possible. That ordinary people less talented or less dedicated than you, can be catapulted into relevance by sheer luck and algorithmic chance. Going viral becomes a lottery you're convinced you can win if you just find the right combination. So you study what worked for others. You reverse engineer trends. You optimize your posting times, your thumbnails, your hooks. You chase what's popular instead of what's true to you. You become strategic when you used to be sincere. Behavioral psychology teaches us that variable ratio reinforcement, when rewards come unpredictably, is the most powerful form of conditioning. It's why slot machines work. You never know when the next pull will pay off, so you keep pulling. Posting on social media operates on the same principle. Sometimes a post does well, sometimes it doesn't. You never know which one will be the one that breaks through, so you keep posting, keep refreshing, keep checking. Not because you're weak, but because the system is designed to exploit the exact learning mechanisms that kept our ancestors alive. But here's what the lottery mentality does to you. It makes you believe that value is random, that quality doesn't matter as much as timing, that you're always one post away from everything changing. So you start creating for the win instead of for the work. You make what you think will perform rather than what you actually want to say. You flatten your complexity into whatever fits the current trend. You become a gambler, not an artist. And gamblers don't create. They just keep feeding the machine, hoping this time, finally, the numbers will align. This is the second trap. Viral obsession turns creation into speculation, and in that transformation, you lose the reason you started making things in the first place. Let's say it happens. Let's say one of your posts takes off. The numbers start climbing. Hundreds become thousands, become tens of thousands. Your phone won't stop vibrating. People you've never met are sharing what you made. You're getting messages, comments, followers pouring in. It feels incredible. Electric. Like finally being seen after years of invisibility. Like proof that you were right to keep trying. Like validation of everything you've been working toward. And then, almost immediately, it starts to fade. The views plateau. The notifications slow. The world moves on to the next thing, and you're left with a new, worse feeling. The knowledge of what it's like to go viral, and the craving to feel it again. This is what nobody tells you about viral success. It doesn't satisfy the hunger, it intensifies it. The researcher Jean Twenge has documented how social media metrics trigger the same neurological pathways as addictive substances. That spike of dopamine when you see big numbers, that crash when they decline, that constant craving for the next hit of validation. It's not a metaphor. Your brain is experiencing a chemical cycle designed to keep you seeking. But the deeper issue isn't neurological, it's existential. When something goes viral, you get a taste of mass recognition. And mass recognition feels, for a moment, like the answer to a question you've been asking your whole life. Do I matter? Am I enough? Do I deserve to be here? The numbers say yes, loudly, publicly, undeniably, but then they fade. And you're left with the same question. Only now you know what it feels like to have it answered by a crowd. And nothing smaller, nothing quieter, nothing more intimate feels like it counts anymore. You used to make things for yourself, or for the small group of people who got it. That used to be enough. But after viral attention, the audience in your head is massive. You're no longer creating for connection. You're creating for replication. Trying to bottle lightning. Trying to recreate a moment that was, by definition, unrepeatable. This is the third trap. Viral success doesn't cure the need for validation. It proves that validation is possible, then makes you chase it forever. Here's what viral obsession does to your identity. It turns you into content. You start noticing what parts of your life get reactions. Maybe it's your vulnerability. Maybe it's your humor. Maybe it's your anger, your hottest takes, your most extreme emotions. Whatever it is, you notice. And once you notice, you start performing it. Not consciously at first. It's subtle. You emphasize the parts of yourself that perform well. You mute the parts that don't. You begin to live with an invisible audience, always half aware of how this moment, this feeling, this experience might translate to content. The philosopher Jean Baudrillard wrote about simulacra, copies without originals, representations that become more real than reality. In viral culture, you risk becoming a simulacra of yourself, a performance of authenticity rather than actual authenticity. You're not faking exactly. You're just highlighting, editing, optimizing the parts of you that generate response. And the most disturbing part? You start to lose track of which version is real. Did you have that opinion before you posted it? Or did you form it because you knew it would resonate? Are you actually feeling this emotion? Or are you amplifying it because it makes better content? Is this experience meaningful to you? Or are you just documenting it because you think it will perform well? Your inner life becomes a content strategy. Your relationships become potential material. Your pain, your growth, your private moments, all of it gets run through the filter of, will this get engagement? You're not living your life anymore. You're producing it. And production requires optimization, which requires metrics, which brings you right back to obsessively checking those numbers, trying to understand what version of you the algorithm wants. The writer Zadie Smith said, "You can't be anything you want to be, but you can be a lot more of who you already are." But viral obsession makes this impossible, because who you already are might not be what performs. And performance, in a metric-driven world, starts to feel like survival. This is the fourth trap. In trying to be seen, you disappear. What goes viral is rarely your fullness. It's the part of you that fits the format. You follow people who have what you want. The big accounts, the verified checkmarks, the posts that consistently blow up. You tell yourself it's for inspiration. Sometimes it is, but mostly, it's torture. You watch them gain thousands of followers from a single post while you're celebrating 50. You see their casual updates get more traction than your most carefully crafted work. You start to internalize a narrative. They have something you don't. They've figured out something you're missing. There's a formula, and you're not smart enough to crack it. Social comparison theory, developed by psychologist Leon Festinger, explains that we determine our own worth by comparing ourselves to others. This was always true. But social media makes the comparison constant, public, and quantified. You're not just comparing yourself to your peers. You're comparing your numbers to their numbers, your trajectory to their trajectory, your worth to their worth, as measured by the same merciless metrics. And because you only see their highlights, their wins, their moments of viral success, you're comparing your behind the scenes to their showreel. You don't see their obsessive checking, their disappointments, their posts that flopped. You just see the scoreboard, and it says they're winning, and you're not. This breeds a particular kind of bitterness. You start to resent others' success instead of celebrating it. You pick apart why what they made doesn't deserve the attention it got. You convince yourself that virality is about luck or pandering or some moral failure because the alternative, that maybe you're just not enough, is too painful to accept. But here's the truth that viral obsession obscures. There is no amount of external validation that will fix an internal sense of inadequacy. The numbers could be 10 times bigger and you'd still find someone with bigger numbers to compare yourself to. The game is designed to be unwinnable. This is the fifth trap. Viral obsession makes you compete with everyone, which means you're at peace with no one, especially yourself. The things that don't scale. So where does this leave us? How do we create in a world where everything is measured, where visibility feels like survival, where the algorithm rewards certain behaviors and ignores others? Maybe it starts with remembering what brought you here in the first place, before you knew what an engagement rate was, before you started checking analytics, before virality seemed possible or even desirable. You made things because you had to, because something in you needed to be expressed, because creation itself, not the response to it, was the point. That version of making still exists. It's quieter now, harder to hear over the noise of metrics, but it's there. It's in the projects you work on that you know won't perform well, but that you make anyway. The niche interests that only a handful of people will care about. The slow, patient building of something meaningful, rather than something momentarily attention-grabbing. Paul Graham, the entrepreneur and essayist, wrote about doing things that don't scale. He meant it for startups, but it applies to creative work too. The things that matter most, the connections that actually sustain you, the work that defines who you are, none of it scales. None of it goes viral. But it's real. And real, it turns out, is worth more than big. This doesn't mean you can't want an audience. It doesn't mean you shouldn't share your work or hope it reaches people. But there's a difference between wanting to connect and needing to go viral. Between hoping your work resonates and measuring your worth by whether it does. What if you created as if the metrics didn't exist? What if you posted and then closed the app, trusted that whoever needed to find it would find it, and moved on to making the next thing? What if your definition of success wasn't a number, but the feeling of having made something true? Here's what viral obsession can't comprehend. Some of the most meaningful creative work reaches 5 people. Some of the most important conversations happen between 2. Some of the art that changes lives never trends. Impact and visibility are not the same thing, and worth was never something that could be counted. When you stop chasing virality, something shifts. You start making work that's weirder, more specific, more you. You take risks the algorithm wouldn't reward. You slow down, go deeper, care less about what performs and more about what's true. And sometimes, paradoxically, that's when people actually connect with what you make. Not because you engineered it to go viral, but because you made something honest and someone needed to see it. The people who find you this way are different. They're not passing through on a viral wave. They're there because your work speaks to something real in them. And that kind of audience, small as it might be, is worth more than 1 million people who barely noticed you while scrolling. This is the shift, from viral to vital, from mass recognition to meaningful connection, from asking how many people saw this to did I make what I meant to make. Your worth is not in the metrics. It never was. The numbers measure attention, and attention is the most fleeting, least reliable measure of value ever invented. What you make matters because you made it, because it's an expression of your particular way of seeing the world, because in the act of creation, you become more fully yourself. And that happens whether the post gets 8 likes or 8 million. In the end, viral obsession is a trap that keeps you from the thing you actually want. You think you want the numbers, but what you really want is to feel like you matter, to know your work has value, to believe you're enough. And those things, the real things, can't be given to you by an algorithm or a crowd. They have to come from inside, from the quiet knowledge that you're making what only you can make, that you're showing up, doing the work, honoring what wants to come through you. The culture will keep offering you the viral lottery. It will keep showing you people who want it. It will keep suggesting that if you just optimize a little more, post a little smarter, you could be next. But you don't have to buy the ticket. You can make things for different reasons, better reasons. You can create knowing that most of what you make will disappear into the noise, and do it anyway. Because the act of making is where your aliveness lives, not in what happens after. The obsession ends when you stop waiting for the world to tell you you're enough, and start trusting that you already are. You are not what went viral. You are everything you made that no one saw and chose to keep making anyway.